Jinxes. JoJo's not here. Good evening, everyone. Glad to have everyone with us tonight as we open up our October 15th Hamblen County Legislative Body Committee meetings. No announcements at this point. We are meeting on a Tuesday rather than Monday due to Columbus Day yesterday. We will meet regular schedule for our commission meeting on the 24th. And as we begin tonight, we will start with our Justice Center Public Safety Committee. Chairman Horner, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the Justice Center Public Safety Committee to order. If there's anyone wishing to address this committee, may do so at this time. Seeing none. Item 4A, Public Safety EMA Report, Chris Bell.
Just want to give you an update on some of the activities that have been going on. I know a lot of you have heard and seen different things, so I'm going to give you just a quick overview. I'm going to ask Sheriff Mullins if he would, because he was an integral part of that first, if he wants to join me, or anything, if you want to just wait from there, however you want to handle it, Sheriff. The county was affected mainly in the south end of the county, the roads that were mainly affected by the flooding. Now, what I'm going to talk about right now, but there were other areas affected by the storm that had debris and trees on houses. But right now I'm going to focus mainly on the flooding of the Nolichucky, which affected Spencer Hill, Highway 160, and Fish Hatchery, and multiple roadways off of that. Mainly, of course, south of the exits on each of those, especially 160 and Fish Hatchery, a little bit south of the train track on Spencer Hill Road. Most of those from River Road to Chucky River to Ewing Road, all those roads are roads that go right next to the Nolichucky. So those homes and farmlands were all affected by flooding out in that area. That Thursday night, the sheriff and I were talking on the phone. The TVA dam called me. There's 3 levels. One is a yellow, then it moves to a green, then to a red. I received a call earlier that evening that it was just a yellow. It was a watch. Nothing. They just had, what it means is they've got a person there at the dam. They don't have any concern at that time, but they have enough that they're putting someone there. That moved very quickly from a yellow to a green to a red within just a matter of an hour time. After that, I determined that we had to do evacuations. Sheriff Mullins and I were on the phone. I stood up the EOC, brought in a lot of personnel from the road department, and Commissioner, if you want to, you can interject at any time as the road department was critical. But we had a lot of organizations, and I'm going to yield it to the sheriff at this time. He was on the ground out there. I was in the OC with a lot of emergency agencies and some other agencies. So do you want to give a quick overview?
After I got off the phone with Director Bell, I contacted the supervisor at 911, and they gave me a red zone around the Nolichucky River, which is about 100 residences. So the Sheriff's Department, Road Department, the Volunteer Fire Departments, it was a team effort. We had every one of these houses in the red zone, checked it in through 911 to let them know that they've been notified or there was no one there. Marshtown Police Department helped us out on emergency calls while we were doing this. So like I said, it was a team effort from all of us to get these people evacuated. There was some roads that morning that we went out to check on people when we come out. It wasn't even passable then. It come up that quick. So we done a continuous for the couple of 2-3 days, checking roads on every several hours to see what we could open, what we couldn't open. We done that throughout the night.
What was amazing is within about a 3-hour time frame before it ever really crested and got over the dam coming our way, we had that whole area covered in South Hamblen. Every house was visited by either Sheriff's Department or VFD to let them know they needed to evacuate. During those 3 hours, it went from a voluntary to a mandatory with Mayor Britton at that time. He went ahead and made a official that it was a mandatory evacuation. We still can't make people leave, but it rises the level that you need to be getting out now. So I think the great thing about it was we had no one injured. No one was affected as far as loss of life. And I think that's attributed that the quick response of all the agencies getting the word out to all those individuals in the South End. Any questions about that so far, and I'll move forward. Try to make this not too long for you. Any questions? As we move forward, the EOC stood up that Thursday through Saturday. We stayed activated to make sure what was going on, keep everyone abreast. Road closures, working with the road department, making sure what roads need to be closed, what were flooded. That Sunday morning, the sheriff and I met out again to begin looking at what roadways could be opened, and we made that determination. We were communicating back and forth to let that be pushed out on social media. We did that next Wednesday. We set up Monday to do the damage assessments. We were going to do it Monday or Tuesday. Agriculture thought they may be able to join us to do the damage assessments. That did not occur, but we did our preliminary damage assessments. We stood the EOC back up on Wednesday, created those teams, sent them out to each area to go door to door, home to home. As of this time, the FSA, Farm Services, and USDA have not completed their assessments for the agriculture, but they're supposed to be here hopefully this week doing that for all those farms that were affected. Been in constant contact with FEMA. We've had their what's called a DSA, Disaster Assistance, Disaster Survivor Assistance. You'll have to excuse me. There's more acronyms, in FEMA than I thought I ever had an ability to recognize. But we've had individuals here going out again to talk to those individuals to make sure they were applied, knew what documents were needed, knew the process. If we couldn't meet them at their home, we still had teams down in the West Wing Conference Center. They could come in to here and meet, and we had a handful come in and meet here at the West Wing. Army Corps of Engineers, we've met. Interim Mayor Cutshaw, your councilman here at the road department, Mike, was out there with us, and we met with the Army Corps of Engineers about debris, what we're going to do with it. We're working on a plan right now. I just got done with today with a draft for what we're going to do and how we're going to deal with that may be brought to the roadway. I'm sure the commissioner will share that with you later on. I want to let you know that Tennessee Baptist Disaster Relief in town, we are fortunate to have them here. They have been an integral part. They took over volunteer coordination for everyone that was calling our office. Of course, there's just a two-person office with my administrative assistant, Chloe, and myself. We were having more calls than we could handle. So Tennessee Disaster down there at God's Warehouse stepped in. They had a couple people come up and help us for a couple days, log in who wanted to help, what could they do, and we began tying homes in with those people that said they wanted to help with the people that needed the help. God's Warehouse has been we set this up. Don Owen, years ago when I was in here, Don Owen and I basically verbally said, can you help us with, if we have something happen here in town, can you be our point of receiving and distribution? And they've done that miraculously. It's been amazing the amount of things that have been brought in, and when people have called us, we've just sent them to God's Warehouse. There's been tractor-trailer loads go out there, crazy, going up to Irwin, up to Unicoi County, Greene County, Cott County, into North Carolina. So it's been a great process to work with them. Lastly, I'll just shoot through this, that, again, all the homes have been met that we're aware of with FEMA. We've been doing social media posts on both the county, the city, and the EMA Facebook page to try to get information out there. U.S. Representative Harshbarger and Congresswoman Blackburn have either been here or had their representatives, and we have gone out with actually Representative Harshbarger. We met, and Mr. Cutshaw and myself went out with her and her aide to go around and look at everything. And finally, Senator Sutherland and Representative Eldridge have been in constant contact. They've kept me updated in case they heard something from the governor. They would shoot it to me immediately. So it's been good communication. I think that gets you at least an idea.
Yeah, thank you, Director. I'd commend him that he's, along with the sheriff and other agencies, and what I saw them in action at the EOC on that Saturday when the river was about to crest at its highest point. It was predicted, and to see these folks doing their job was quite the scene to, trying to keep up with everybody. So we're grateful.
Important to say, Chris, too, I'm in a group thread with all Region 1 sheriffs. It starts about Loudoun County and goes east. Once this happened, a group thread went out. Saturday morning, Knox County Sheriff Spangler had 2 helicopters sitting at Morgantown Airport with the mobile command unit and had it manned with drone units as helicopters to service all of East Tennessee.
Wow.
So we had support from Blount County with dive teams, swiftwater rescue, anything we needed, we had to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One other point, just to make mention, we had, even though we were affected here, we weren't affected as much as some of the other counties. I think everyone understands and knows that. But even with us being able to handle Hamblen County and Morristown, we all know we're very blessed here. The infrastructure, what we have resources-wise, it's an amazing fire-sized county. We can handle a lot on our own. And because of that, our rescue squad, BFDs, Sheriff's Department, Morristown Fire Department, PD, EMS, all sent out teams sometime during those first 3 or 4 days to send workers. We had them here working, and we had enough to send to other counties to assist. So it's a huge prop for Morristown, Hamblen County to be able to say we can handle our own and still help other counties at the same time. So that's my report.
Chairman Cutshaw, may I ask a question?
Through Chairman
Oh,
Horner.
Chairman Horner, may I ask a question, please,
Go
sir?
ahead.
I had a phone call from somebody in our area asking that they couldn't get a response call from your office, that they had an excavation company and they were more than willing to help citizens and everything, but they were complaining that they couldn't get a return phone call from your office. Did you have a lot of that to your knowledge?
I don't think as far as do you have the name and number?
The gentleman did not want to share his name. He said that he did not want any pushback, but he owned a large excavating company in Hamblen County and he wanted to be a service.
Commissioner, as far as I know, we've accounted for everyone that wanted to help. We did have messages at times because we were just inundated in that office. You can imagine when you're fielding, there was 3 or 4 days I fielded 250 calls on my cell phone. And that was challenging to say the least. But as far as I'm aware at this time, we have made contact with anyone that wanted to volunteer with either just themselves or a shovel or they've got large equipment. As far as we're aware of, we've tried to make contact back and try to let them know what the needs were.
Thank you.
If you have, I'd like to address something, though. If you have contact with that person, if you save their name, tell them to call in again, because this county is willing to look at anyone. That was an unfair statement to think that we didn't care. Or anybody's welcome to volunteer and help. And they know where we're located, but be glad to talk to them. Thank you.
I think my statement, sir, was that he wanted to help and
Oh, I
he
agree,
couldn't get a
and we'll
response,
take
sir.
his help,
I wasn't
so,
throwing any
yeah.
slander. I
All
just
right, thank you.
trying to make it quite plain, sir.
Anyone else? If not, thank you for your leadership. Item 4B, Justice Center project update. Jaron Dolewater, Burr Wilkes.
That don't mean you ain't there. See, that's bullcrap.
Good evening, Commissioners. So what a testament to this county for the preparedness that you had in the face of all of that. So it's good to see as an outsider, I'm a Loudoun County resident, but good job. Hamblen County Justice Center. Right now, through change order 22, there is no change order to present tonight. We are at $94,873,737.11 for the total contract value. Contract substantial completion is still sitting at 9/30/24, as the general contractor is massaging that schedule to verify what the substantial completion will look like and preliminarily, as we're seeing drafts to this, it's looking towards the end of February for that. After that would be a 60 days for the final completion, with that interim time between the substantial and that is where we'll start seeing some of the owner's transitions into the building itself. Build to date, we're at 93.86% for the project at a total of $89,043,842.11. Material stored is at $5,927,000. We will see that eaten away substantially over the next couple of months here. Work in place then is set at 87.61%, or a total of $83,116,842.11. As you can see, this thing here, for current construction activity on site, they are completing this west side parking lot. Now they've got some of the extruded curb going in, gutter systems going in. Last time we spoke, we saw some of these bollards prepared to be poured and in place there. So we'll start seeing this completed over the next couple of weeks. Asphalt will be put in place here probably towards, the next couple of weeks. On this side, which is the east side of the project, east-north side, we're starting to see security fencing. Some of that's been delivered. They're starting to install the security fencing, perimeter security fencing on the project. Pictures are a little dull, but as you can see here, what I'm looking for is what we still have on site, and a lot of the subcontractors are starting to pull off some of the major subcontractors in their storage, so that's good to see. That they're starting to complete some of their scope of work in that. Inside of the building, we've seen most of the drywall complete. You can see the acoustical ceiling. Grid system is in place. Lights are being dropped. Registers are being in place as well. Floors are being prepped. Painting has been continual over the last month or so. A substantial amount of painting has been going on. We're starting to see security equipment installations of lock systems and particular glazing for the security systems in there. Floors, again, are being prepped for like the terrazzo. That's starting up now. You see all the security. Ceiling grid system is in place here. And then you're seeing the drop-ins here in these locations. Painting's complete. The door skirts are in that we discussed before. Those are all done and complete. More of the above overseeing work being completed here. Light systems, all of the cells are being completed now. Here's inside the courtrooms. A little better picture. The judge's bench. All of that millwork is continually being put in place here. Some of the trim work that's in the ceiling systems being prepared and placed for all that. In regards to change orders, I had a question on that a little bit earlier. There is not one to present today. The only things that we'll be looking at, just to give a little bit of a heads up, is a segmented wall system. Is there a way to get that back on there? I'm sorry. This parking lot, kind of difficult to see in this location here, but extremely steep grades. There was existing utilities that are in there that are fairly high up that are demanding that we have to put in some kind of retention system in there to hold back that, to maintain it. So there's a bit of work that we need to do in there. It's not a substantial cost, but it is a cost when you look at that. When we did the court benches, we elected to go with a company that was going to install them, which was part of the contractor's work. So we'll be seeing a credit of about $19,500 for that coming through on the next change order as well. We'll be looking that's it for, that I know of at this time. Landscaping, there'll be some landscaping pulled out, so there'll be a little bit of an offset with that, a minimal amount on that east side. But beyond that, I don't foresee anything else. Not to say there won't be any other costs associated to this project. So, any questions?
Did we have any damage or loss during the storm?
No, not on the site. We did not.
Good.
Quick question. Did I understand you correctly? You're forecasting about February of '25 for completion date?
The end of February is what we're looking at. The exact date's not finalized. So substantial completion, that's what they're looking for.
The wall that you referred to, I'm assuming that was not calculated initially into the deal? Partial wall on the end, I apologize. We're just talking about the utilities and so forth being high.
Yeah, one more time with the question.
My apologies, I should have clarified, sir. The wall that you were talking about on the end,
Yes.
I'm assuming that's gonna be an additional cost to the taxpayers of Hamblen County?
Yes.
Any idea what we are looking at there? Because this has been a lot higher. I mean, we started out 75 million. The last time I looked, we was up to 105, and it grows by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I can't speculate until the design is finalized. It's been with the civil engineer. They've been doing on-site, assessing what the grades are and where all the utilities are. So that has not been issued yet. So there's no feeler for how far or how high it's going to be.
Did I understand you that all the doors are finished now? As far as the extra piece that was added at the
Yes.
bottom, and that might have not been the correct terminology, so
Yeah,
I
the
apologize.
skirting or the suites, skirting has been referred to as both, but yes, that's complete.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anyone else? If not, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Horner. We'll now move into the Finance Committee and call on Chairman Hahn for that, please.
Call the Finance Committee to order. Anyone wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. You have 3 minutes.
Wayne Holden, 8150 West Point Drive. I want to talk about an item 5B on the Finance Committee agenda. Recovering money for Hamblen County for unlawful payments
sweetie.
made to former road commissioner Gail Free for meetings she did not attend. What Ms. Green has given you are public documents that show that Gail Free herself has lied repeatedly and made false statements, sometimes under oath, and where she has lived over the past 2.5 years. The false statements you have been given are in documents signed by Gail herself since March 2022. You have taken an oath to uphold the law. No elected official with an ounce of decency or honor or common sense could look at Gail Free's assorted lies through the last 2 years and vote to accept her statements as the basis for determining where she lived. Gail Free was asked to tell when she moved out of her road commission district. She responded with half-truths and out-and-out lies. The lies need to stop here and stop now. I ask that you totally reject the false statements made by Gail Free and get the truth. I also want to say that Gail Free and other road commissioners owe more for missed meetings than have been billed to them. As you know, the private access road commissioners only get paid upon attending road commission meetings. In 2020, somebody canceled 4 road meetings, but all road commissioners were paid for those 4 meetings, and they never took place, were never rescheduled, and were never attended by anyone. That is another $4,000 due to the county. I've tried to be patient, but today I am demanding one more time that you get the truth and recover all money owed by road commissioners to the county for illegal payments made to them.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else who wishes to address the committee? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd Road, Morristown. I'd like to follow up on what Ms. Holden has said, as well as the handout that you have that was provided by Ms. Chairman, or Commissioner Green.
You're talking about the one that you passed around? Is that the one you're?
That was her statement.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
copy
Well,
of that.
Gwen read it, I just didn't know.
Yeah. I've attended many of those meetings.
You didn't get one?
They're talking about the road commission,
Get him one.
and we will be posting them as video, because you need to see the things that have been said by road commissioners about the private act.
Ask that
Chairman
Persh,
Hyde
please.
of the
Ask
road
that
commission
Chairman
knew
Persh
about the private act
Chairman
and said
Persh.
so. Danny Bell knew about the private act and said so. Barry Poole never said at a meeting anything about the private act, but he evidently sent a message to the payroll department here in the finance department in February 2022 saying, don't pay Hyde or Free for the February 8th, 22 meeting because they didn't attend. Why would he send that except that he knows about the private act that says you don't attend, you don't get paid? And yet through all these years, road commissioners have been paid whether they attended or not. What I would like to do at this point is go through the items that were passed out by Commissioner Free, excuse me, bad mistake, Commissioner Green, because they show the pattern of the lies and when they occurred. Now, January 26, 22, the first sheet, she's filling out her Tennessee ethics form. There's nothing wrong with it that I know of. She's running for re-election to the, or she's simply filing her financial report with the state, and gives her address as 354 South Liberty Hill. Also on the second page, you'll see that she understands that submitting a disclosure such as this that contains false or incomplete information may subject her to perjury. Okay, that was 12622. Next is the warranty deed, and this comes from the packet that Mayor Britton provided at one time. She sold her house at 354 South Liberty Hill in February 2022.
Ms. Noel, your time is up.
Commissioner
3
Hart,
minutes?
Commissioner Hart,
Yes, ma'am.
may I make a move?
That's
that
our,
we
that's our rule, our
give
local
additional
rule
time?
for rules.
Who,
That is our local rules,
Well,
ma'am.
I don't keep the time, it's just right here.
I barely said anything.
Commissioner Hart,
Pretty fast clock.
I don't, yes, Ms.
When
Green.
did you
may I
start
make
it?
a move to give her additional time so that she can get through that? Because several of you have asked questions, and she can explain it far better than I can, and I do intend to get into it. So you're gonna have to hear it either way. But you need to understand what you've got.
Well, we'll
'cause
take it up
even
on the
you-
commission then, the
May I-
public comments. When
may
the
I
public
finish?
comments are over.
May I finish what I was saying, please, sir?
Well, we're gonna have another issue here in just a minute. This is public comment time.
Well,
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You'll have your chance here in a minute, Ms. Green.
I certainly hope so.
Okay. Recurring business, item 3. Get a chance to look at your expenditure report, monthly checks. We have no old business. We move down to the new business. Number 5A, is the interlocal cooperation agreement for vegetative debris disposal. Mr. Mayor?
Interim mayor, please.
Yes, sir.
Folks, we've been approached with our declaration of emergency with what we've had in the south end of the county with the debris pile up. Between the city entity and ourselves, we agree that we do not want all this debris to end up in our landfill. So the city owns property in ETPC, East Tennessee Progress Center, that they have a site that has been TDEC approved that we can dump our vegetative debris. And what that does is save our landfill. And we're going to dump it there and contract with someone to create a burn site, incinerate this. Saves us money in the long run with our landfill. But also, at some point here, as Director Bell had indicated, we are looking to contract with the National Guard. At some point, we will have them come in and pick up this debris to save our county that effort as well, because they come in and work with us for no cost. They deliver this debris on this site. It stays out of our landfill. The reason for the interlocal agreement, the city owns this property, and we are, as anything that we do, it's proportional as far as the loads that we will take in as compared to the loads that they will take in. Across our county suffered, not only in the south end of the county, but across our county we suffered debris damage, and there's been quite a significant amount. And our Mr. Richardson or others could comment that for foreseeable future, we will be behind on our debris pickup until we can get caught up. We're hoping that the Guard can come in here and not only work with the county, but also the city to deliver to this site that we are in agreement with. That in itself is what this interlocal agreement is, that they are providing the site and that we agree to help maintain this site per our load and whatever costs are associated with that. So, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, thank you. It's wonderful that it's not going into the landfill, because the landfill land is expensive. And I hope the Guard will be able to, but I'd sort of like to think that maybe we could do it, maybe without an emergency, that maybe we could work something out. We certainly share the jail, we share the schools with city residents, and why can't we do something with this kind of thing towards the future, once a month maybe? Anything to save taking fallen down trees and covering them up with good dirt, when we could burn them and maybe save some landfill. Thank you, sir.
If you'll recall, Commissioner Howell, that we did have an incinerator at our landfill, and that incinerator went down. And to revitalize that, plus train employees, it was found that the grinding system was going to be more effective in doing that. And not only that, but they take the grounds from vegetative debris along with regular waste, and it creates a layer in that. Commissioner Horner may be able to explain that better. It creates a layer in that landfill that has weight to it and helps it pack. It's a design that's been approved, and what you're stating is right, but we're talking about excessive amount of debris that's hit at one time. That is the reason for this new direction. Any other questions? The grinder is.
So you're saying that the burn is a one-time?
This burn with the city is get rid of the storm, takes it to the storm. Hopefully. My understanding is it will be burned.
That's correct. It will be incinerated. They'll create a burn pit, incineration type thing. Mr. Richardson may be able to comment better than I can on the burn pit. But the whole point is that it doesn't go in landfill with this excessive amount of debris. And that does not include, if you will, bulk waste, such as a home or a barn that was destroyed. That does not include that. We can't burn that debris. It's only vegetative debris that can be burned. There was another point there I wanted to make. I slipped my mind. Anyone else?
I have a
Yes, ma'am.
question.
Yes,
When
ma'am.
you talk about burn, now, that won't affect as far as runoff water for our neighboring farms and stuff like that, I'm assuming.
No, ma'am, this site has been TDEC approved for such thing. It'll be a pit, it's the way I understand it, will be incinerated on site, and that's the whole point. It's just like a big bonfire.
Thank you.
Anyone? Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Interim Mayor.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Rodney Long, second. Thomas Doty. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? Motion does pass.
I will make one last comment on that, this interlocal agreement runs through March of 2025, and either party can back away from that. It's in your packet there if you need more directions on that, but I just let you know it's not indefinite that we continue this. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Thank you, sir. Item 5B,
Take longer, man.
reimbursement from Road Commission, Districts 3 and 4, Interim County Mayor Chris Cutshaw.
Before you, you have all the information that we have. On the October 8th meeting, the Hamblen County Road Commission meeting, the Road Commission approved 6-1 to void the $6,082 of an invoice for Gail Free, taking into account her affidavits that she was in fact in the district during that time. And that was the gist of that. The information is before you. Currently, she has an invoice of $2,583.60 that she will owe for missed meetings. As we all know, the Private Act says you don't get paid if you're not there. And that's what's before you. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
2 questions. The packets that I passed out to you folks, you've got, the second one is the deed where she sold her house in February of 22. If you'll reference to the packet that I passed you out earlier.
I'm aware of it.
And if you'll go on back to the next page, it's she filed with Hamblen County HR March 3rd, 22.
Yes.
She changed her address, she changed her phone numbers. She's lied somewhere, okay? Now, go on back to your next page. Ethics Committee filing. We all have to do them, folks, so we're used to them. We have to certify we're telling the truth on that second page of each one of them. If you'll go back to hers for 23, she goes back and files the address for the house she sold in February of 22 as her address. You go on back to the next page, you've got 24. She's still saying she still lives at the 354 South Liberty Hale Road. Go on back to your next one. This is a copy of where she registered to vote in Jefferson County in February of 24. And if you'll go back to your next 2, you've got your affidavits. And nary page does it tell exactly when she moved. We are bound as public officials to uphold the truth, and if we know something is wrong or we suspect it, we are not supposed to advocate it as the truth and pass it from the laws that I have read earlier this week. Now, in all fairness, if you lie once, you'll lie twice. She's lied all the way through. She said that she lived at 354, even right up to 24 when she filed. Well, if she sold her house in 22, she changed her address with HR in March of 22. She's lied somewhere.
Do the Ethics Committee of the State of Tennessee need to take that up? I mean, we're debating whether or not she was attended meetings. And her affidavit states that she's stayed here in town. I don't know. I take her affidavit. If it's not true, that's,
We can't uphold something we think's untrue, Chairman Cutshaw.
I don't know that it is untrue. You're calling her a liar. I can't prove that she is
All I'm
or isn't.
saying is we need to ask the direct question, and she is the one that can tell us. When did
I believe she's done that with her affidavit, ma'am.
I didn't, I read her affidavit that way. Evidently, you found something I missed.
Well, it's not a debate for me. It's just that you're saying something with ethics, and this county's not. That's between her and the state of Tennessee, as far as I understand.
Not
the ethics.
really. When we certify.
What was that law that you were speaking of that you read, what was this?
Did not bring it with me, so my apologies, but basically it says, as an elected official, if you know something is untrue, or you have doubts about it, you're not supposed to okay it and go along with it. And from what I understand, not one of this tells exactly when she moved, not one bit of it. And Gail repeatedly crossed herself. We need to ask the question.
Is it not widely known that we know that she sold her home, and that was the whole issue at the very beginning, and the first invoice of $6,000 was that she sold her home, correct? She came back and signed an affidavit that she actually was here, and there was a road commissioner who attested to that as well. However, I don't have an affidavit from him, but he attested that she was still there and attending meetings.
He did not attest that she lived there the whole time. I attended
No,
that
ma'am,
meeting.
I'm not
Well,
arguing your
I
point.
attended that meeting where it was stated, sir.
I'm not arguing your
Well,
point.
I'm not trying to argue with you,
I'm
I'm
looking
just
at the
stating the
information in
truth.
front of me. Yes, ma'am.
But my point is,
Ma'am, you're out of order, please. You're out of order.
just a minute, let me finish if you don't
No,
care, please.
she's out of
Well,
order, and you need to be cool.
Well, honey, I'm not. I am cool as little cucumbers.
Go ahead,
sweetheart.
I'm just trying to correct what's going on here.
But anyway, she has, first of all, that bill was sent by the mayor's office. It wasn't sent by the Hamblen County Road Commission. Second of all they had to do was ask the questions. The law, the private act stipulates you must attend, but it also stipulates, according to Charles Curtis, that you have to live in your district. And that's true for me, that's true for a road commissioner.
Ma'am, you're telling us redundant stuff. We understand this, rhetorical. We all
Well,
understand this.
I understand
We
you
understand
understand
your
it, but I'm
point.
sure our public that's sitting in here does not, sir. But my point is, we need to know exactly, and it's not just Gail. The other road commissioners were invoiced too, and to my knowledge, the last time I talked to Miss Amanda, 2 of them had paid the invoice, but the invoice did not address the meetings that were canceled, and there were 4 of them. And even just at $200 apiece, that is going to add up for 7 commissioners. But we need that money back. That's taxpayer money. It's not mine, it's not the county's, it's taxpayer money. And I'm a firm believer in doing the right thing. We are going to face a humongous debt in this county simply because of the jail, not counting the new officers we're going to have to stay to service that jail and take care of it.
Yeah, it's out of order.
Would you ask him to let me continue my 10
Well,
minutes,
you are
please?
out of order when you bring another subject into the matter.
Well,
What
my-
is your point? What would you
My
like?
point is, we need to be constant and we need to be good stewards. We need to know when that lady moved.
Yes,
And
ma'am,
we
we
don't
know,
need to-
we know when her address changed. We do know that. She has signed an affidavit that she lived in that district during that time. Now, beyond that, ma'am, that's all I know.
Well, now, you noted her address, sir. She changed her address March 3rd, 22,
I
Marla.
agree, and I could have bought a house in Washington somewhere, but still live here.
One of the,
If you
Is that
wouldn't have changed
possible?
your address in
Let's
HR.
move on. Any other questions?
Bobby, you got one?
Mr. Chairman,
Bobby had one.
no, go ahead.
you know, we have this in front of us tonight. This is from the road commission, that they voted 6-1, but this is what they'll let go, just for you. The road commission are elected officials. And
Point of order, please, ma'am.
so, as elected officials, this should be taken up in the road commission, the chairman of the road commission. They should be handling this, and from my point of view here is they've sent us a document saying that she has reduced what she owes, and she owes this amount. So, as elected officials, the road commission should be doing their job and determining, and handling this and determining whether she lives here or not. It really shouldn't be the job of this commission. That's all I can say.
What? Yes, Mr. Naismith.
If this Gale Free thing hadn't have come up, the road department would have not known anything about the private act.
Amen.
I talked to Charles Anderson, been our 20-something years. He didn't know anything about the private act. He didn't know that if you didn't come to the meetings, you didn't get paid. There's some loose screws here somewhere.
Amen.
they've gotta be aware of it and let our accounting, whoever writes the checks, know about it, because they don't do it. They don't go back and check if that guy was there or not. They just send them checks every month. That's all I have to say about it.
Well, I think we have to keep in mind a couple of things here. Number one, the road department is a separate entity, like Mr. Long said. They've given us what they found. And we can take that as fact, or we can call them liars. I don't want to call anybody a liar. I don't think we have the right to do that. We've got an affidavit from Ms. Free. I don't know the woman from anybody. Ma'am, I see that, okay? Now, you're making a show. I don't want to hear it. We have a notarized affidavit from Ms. Free. She sold her house February 2022. Fact, according to her. But she didn't move out of the county at that point. We have to take that in consideration. Now, I don't know her. I don't know where she lived. I don't know where she moved to. She says she moved to take care of a neighbor. At some point, we have to rely on people to be truthful. You know, we can't throw around, you know, that they're lying unless we got something to substantiate it with. What I'm looking at, in front of me tells me that she did move to White Pine April 2024. Now, that's in a notarized statement signed by her. And I think we have to look at that and go on with those good graces. And we have to let the road department police themselves. We don't have the right to police them. You know, there's some good people on that road department. Some I know personally. And I know that the evidence in the packet that was handed out, I understand there's some discrepancies in there. There's also some discrepancies in a couple of them where they called her a county commissioner. So, she wasn't a county commissioner, she was a road commissioner. Does that lessen the facts? So we've got contrary facts going on. And we went through a time just a few years ago, 19 and 20, where this is germane or not, but we went through a couple of 3 years ago where our commission was scattered so we wouldn't infect each other. So we had to take steps. They had to take steps. Was their record keeping very good? I don't think so. They need a sign-in sheet. They need to be a little bit more clear. But I'm not going to call those folks liars. I'm not going to call her a liar. She put it on paper. She had it notarized. It's signed, witnessed. She's also got another notarized witness stating the same things. She referenced another witness in her statement. It's a tough situation, but that's where we're at. And at this point, if you want to push an ethics thing, Ms. Green, go for it, okay? But at this point, with what we have in front of us, this is what we have. And with that, I'm going to ask for someone to make a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. I move that we accept the decisions of the road commission in their meeting on October 8th concerning Ms. Gail Free.
Mr. Doty, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cutshaw will second it. Anyone else have anything they want to say or add? Mr.
Go ahead.
Mr. Neesmith.
I go along with this. but I want us to look at the future. We need to get something straightened out for the road department and with the people that write the checks, so this doesn't pop up again. I mean, some of them are 21 years.
Talking about the road commission?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Now, two of them said they knew about it, about the private act. The chairman, Dr. Hyde, he knew about it. And Danny Bell knew about it. But they still took the money. If they knew about it and still took the money, what have we got there? That don't need to happen anymore. This thing needs to be cleared out. If it's my road department sends a letter to the people that writes the checks, say this guy wasn't here, that guy wasn't here, everybody else was here, then you write the check. You don't pay them for it. But right now, we have nothing. We don't have a thing now. We hadn't had one for 20, 30 years. Tom I'd been on there for 40 years. He didn't know about it. Something wrong here.
I agree with you there, and we'll move
Thank you.
for that. Thank you.
Chairman?
Ms.
Chairman
Green,
Harm.
quickly.
Point of clarification, it was turned over to the county attorney to do the check, and the road commission didn't. I was at that
Now, say
meeting.
that again, I'm sorry.
It was turned over to the county attorney to investigate. It was not the road commission that did the collection of the documents, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Ms. Howell?
Yes, sir. If the road commission says that 7 people came, or then there was, and the checks were written, imagine out of the mayor's office, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then. They have to go on what the road commissioner told them.
That's
Exactly.
And so now it becomes, in my opinion, a legal matter that can be straightened out. And I agree with Mr. Neesmith that, goodness, I hope we don't bring this up again, that the lesson is learned, that you show up and there we are. But it cannot be the mayor's office, they're going on the word of the county commission.
Road commission.
Road commission, yes.
And if the road, and that's my point. This is a unfortunate mess, and I'm sure the legal can take care of this.
Chairman?
Yes.
I need to straighten something out. I don't know what was turned over to me, but I did not investigate this, nor was I expected to. I have no documents, received no documents relative to this whole situation. I felt it was a road commission matter. They sorted it out. They've done what they've done.
It was Rusty Cantle's who
Ma'am, you're out of
Excuse
order.
me.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to address a couple of things that I think we have got a hold of this now, and as our finance director has said, when they send an invoice in, we take it for what it's worth. I mean, that's how it's handled. Moving forward, there is something I think, make certain we have clarification between a road department, highway department, and the road commission, 2 separate entities there as well. The road department does not have any influence on the road commission. So we need to make sure that clarification is there. And finally, if we think back to the COVID times when there was one meeting we tried to meet, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I know our private act does not say we don't get paid, we got paid. But the point is, during this time, we were scared. For lack of a better word, we didn't know what COVID was. We didn't know how it was going to affect the next person. If we brought it to somebody, those guys missed, I think, maybe 4 meetings. I think that ought to be considered a leniency there, because we were all under this mask mandate at the time. That's my opinion. I just feel like it was a time when they had a small room to meet in. That's just my opinion. I think that extreme measures should maybe it should be relaxed for that point.
Absolutely.
That's just an idea to. It's actually not valid, I guess, at this point on this motion. Forgive me. It's just an idea.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Ahern?
just one more point to follow Chairman Cutshaw. During that time of the pandemic in 2020, working as a nurse and having to go into homes of people who are dying of COVID, no one knew anything, and we were all told to stay home. So when we're told to stay home by our government officials and by our president at the time, I think that these 4 missed occasions that these commissioners did not come together was warranted when people were not even allowed to work because we were all scared to death. I really hadn't thought about that until you brought it up, that this was a time during pandemic. So if these 4 missed commission meetings, if that's what the big problem is, I think leniency is at the very least that we could do, because this was COVID 2020 when lives after lives were lost.
Thank you, Ms. Ayer. Mr. Doty?
If I may, just really quick, I'm hoping my memory serves me at this, but during that time frame, I think there was an executive decision handed down by the governor that we were not allowed to meet in groups such as this, that we had to be outsparse, that gave us the legal right to even have the Zoom meetings, so that ones where people wanted to hear could actually go online and see those. As you said, we had one that didn't even go to fruition because we had people even here that our internet crashed and we couldn't do it in different rooms throughout. If that is those 4 meetings, then I think that's, like it's been said, it'd be a no-brainer just to forget about those, because just be happy that none of those people got COVID and died from it. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we have the motion in front of us. Got a second. We'll now vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we have any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 5C, budget amendments. Miss Amanda Hale, Finance Director of Hamblen County. And a great person.
Amen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll wait for you to get up. Item C1, Fund 101, County Clerk's Office, $10,000.
This budget amendment for the clerk's office is one where Ms. Henderson has asked to move money from her reserve fund balance to cover the purchase of some updated scanners, decal printers, and to assist with her website design. But again, this is money coming from her reserved account.
Do I have a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doty, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Harville, any questions? We'll vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5C2, Fund 101, Circuit Court, $1,587.50.
On this budget amendment, Ms. West has asked to move the amount listed in front of you for the purchase of some passport hard drives that her office needs, but again, she is using money that is from her restricted reserved account as well.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Long, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Doty, any questions? Ms. Hill, what exactly are we talking about here?
What she's purchasing?
Yeah.
I don't honestly know what a passport hard drive is. Jeff Atkins could help it, do you? An external?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's not passports, I'll take it. Thank you. All right. Do we have any other questions? Let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item 5C3, Fund 101, County Mayor, $21,960.60.
budget amendment is to move $21,960.60 from the unassigned fund balance to cover an addition of a part-time employee, that being Bill Britton, in the mayor's office. Bill has offered to come on as a consulting type basis to help us with some outstanding projects that we have from November through June at no more than, his memo is behind your budget amendment. He's willing to work up to 15 hours per week at $40 per hour during this eight-month period. So if committee approves that, then this would allocate the funds to cover that part-time employee and the taxes. Of course, no health insurance, no benefits, no TCRS, just the salary and the taxes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doty, have a second. Mr. Richardson, thank you, gentlemen. Do we have any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
2 questions. Why, I know the mayor's retiring, and I'm sure at his age he's looking forward to retirement. Why would he want to come back if he wants to retire? I mean, what's the purpose?
To help us. He's doing it for us. We have ongoing projects that has intimate knowledge of, and he wants to wrap those up.
But years ago, when they had an interim mayor come into business, and it was Mr. Harville's dad, he didn't have to have help. He knew his job well enough. He handled it without
May
bringing
I
any
interject,
extra.
please? Mr. Harville came in when County Executive Paul Bruce had passed away. He didn't have that. We're in a position where our former county mayor has offered to help us. He left on his own terms, and he has stepped up in an amicable way to help us through, such as the Jail and Justice Center that he's been involved in from the very inception of, and everything there. He's been involved with the grants involved in the health department. Also, he has been involved in opioid abatement. There's so many things yet that he has offered that would make the best decision for Hamblen County. It's not about me. I am the interim mayor, and if Bill Britton wasn't here, I would tackle that with all my might. I would. However, Bill Britton has been involved, and it's the best decision for Hamblen County moving forward to save money and have great direction and keep our county on task. So that's how I feel about that when you're throwing at the interim mayor. But you are correct. If Bill Britton wasn't here, we would carry on. But he has offered. I think it's very admirable and thankful that he has done so.
May I finish what I was saying when you interrupted me, sir, please?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. As I said, when Mr. Harville took that position, he knowed it well enough, he was trained well enough that he could handle it without an additional expense coming forward to Hamblen County citizens in any shape, form, or fashion. So I wonder if possibly, being that our mayor wanted to retire, if we wouldn't be better off without the part-time help. But I do feel like that it's an unnecessary burden on taxpayers of Hamblen County.
Anything else?
Thank you, Bobby.
Anyone else? And we're looking at this 21,000, that's the max, right? It may be less than that.
Could be if he,
And
my
probably will
understanding, if
be.
he doesn't work the 15 hours a
You
week.
keep up with him. Okay. Okay, anyone else? Yes, Ms. Howell.
Thank you, sir. I was just thinking that when Mr. Harville came in, he had been director of schools. So
Very smart.
his administrative skills were high.
Amen.
And
Highly
He
educated.
had been, that didn't sound good, did it?
It's all right. It's okay.
I mean, the point was, he had been involved in budgets and, that's not something.
It's okay.
Point is,
It's okay.
His experience, and with the help of the office, just kind of led to that, and for, with the projects that we have for the short term, because, as you can tell, certainly for me, the learning curve is still high, and I would imagine for our chairman that it is daunting. And good counsel, although the office personnel in the mayor's office is
Exemplary.
superb.
exemplary.
So, it may take all hands on deck for the short term. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
If I may.
Yes, Mr.
This,
Harper.
this is really a best practices thing that is done in the real world. Even if the president of Color Tech were to leave, whoever's going to replace him, that guy's going to stay around for a while. It's called an onboarding process. I've been through them many times myself. Whenever I went out as principal, they left the principal out there with me for a little while so that I didn't wreck. I mean, it's, you know, I think this is a no-brainer with the grants and everything else that he has intimate knowledge of. Just makes sense.
Chairman, may I interject one last
Sure
thing?
can. Yes,
Commissioner Harville just jogged my memory. Happy to announce that we have been awarded a $100,000 grant, tourism grant, for upgrades at Cherokee Park. We've been awarded, just today found out, a $500,000 grant, preservation grant for our courthouse here. So those things that Mayor Britton has been a part of, that he will continue to help during this contract period.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Not specifically, no. He's actually, I think, been on vacation, and not specifically. He is still receiving emails, and he's been forwarding those to the office, but is actually working. No, sir, he has not.
And we had a really great situation with the turnover that Mr. Cutshaw got to spend 2 weeks with Mr. Britton. And I think that was, I know it was really good for you, but this transition, this is for the citizens, this is for Hamblen County. It's to keep us in lockstep with what we're doing. We don't want to miss a beat.
Chairman, may I add something else?
Yes, ma'am.
He's got an exemplary bunch in his finance department as well as others, so I will say that. We are blessed with good people.
Let's vote this motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item 5C4, Fund 176, Highway Capital Gains Project Fund, $450,000.
So last month, I think it was, or the month before, the highway department came before you and presented a road list of paving projects. You all voted to approve that paving schedule. And so in that, the $450,000 is to cover paving projects on Pine Barren Drive, the Country Road, Lake Park Circle, and Old Lowland Pike. So this just appropriates those funds to cover those paving projects.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Who was second? Mr. Long, Mr. Harville, motion, Mr. Long, second. Any questions? Let's vote the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We have an addition, 5CD, Resolution 24, a resolution authorizing Hamblen County to commit additional funding on CDBG project 16103 for 2024 fire engine. They have a motion. No,
So
I'm
moved.
sorry. I'm sorry. no, no.
Well, let's call on Grant Administrator
Yes.
Barbara Horton. Horton.
Horton, the grant administrator.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
You have before you another resolution authorizing that project, 16103 CDBG for the fire engine. And what we're looking at now is not more appropriation of funding, but a guarantee that matches us to the grantor of the fund, saying that we will back the $239,000. The grant contract is with Hamblen County, but we also have matching funds that are coming to us from the South Hamblen County Volunteer Fire Department. So if you look through your packet, you'll see the proposed resolution. Behind it is the budget that shows our total commitment on the bottom left, the $239,990, and inclusive in that is the $73,966 that is going to be matched from that volunteer fire department. Below that, behind that is the original resolution. Behind that is the commitment of the $80,000 extra that we did on September 19th. And behind that is the commitment letter from South Hamblen County Volunteer Fire Department. I think I have the whole thing together. Any questions?
Get a motion.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Harville, motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Doty, second. Now, do we have any questions?
I have one, I just want to clarify that this doesn't change the price of the fuel.
No, absolutely not.
Anyone else?
I just want to say one thing if I could. You know, this is one of the VFDs that we were talking about earlier that sent people out and volunteered, basically risked themselves because they're out in this weather, in this high water, to go out and help people. And, again, it's volunteer. They make nothing. They don't even get a meal out of this. This is all their own time that they utilize, and I think it's the least we can do.
And again, that's for the citizens of Hamblen County, so I think it's a good thing. Let's vote this motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Okay, there is one item of note in the Finance Committee I'd like to point your attention to. Is, it came up in the last, I believe it was last month, about the indemnification clause with our Pro-E Engineering Services, and that is in your packet with the indemnification clause removed, just for your information, that was completed and signed. All right, let's move on. Thank you, Chairman. And we'll now move into the Personnel Committee. Chairman Doty, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do I have anyone wishing to address this committee? May do so now. Seeing none, we will move forward. We have no old business or new business. Item 4A is approval of the education pay submissions, and we have one employee that got their associate's degree. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Horner, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Holmes. Thank you all. Any discussion? We'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B is approval of military pay submissions. Here again, we have one employee that has had 2 years of service. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I move Mr. Ahern. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Walker. Thank you all. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. Excuse me. All right, we'll now move into the next committee, Public Services Committee. Chairman Richardson, you're recognized.
Chairman, call the Public Services Committee to order. Any visitors wishing to address the committee about agenda items only?
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm not going to get into the speech over here. I was going to talk more, but I'm not going to talk more now. But I'd just like to comment on, I know you mentioned 2003, some kind of ordinance. I really couldn't find it. But on August the 31st at 10:30 p.m., I did make a call to the Sheriff's Department about excessive noise from the Great Smoky Farm and was told that we can't do anything. And I says, well, I understand they have a disturbing the peace that was mentioned last month and also about something in 2003, so I don't know anything about it, so we're not doing anything with it. I said, well, can't you at least go and just tell them to lower it down? No. So my problem is y'all need to communicate over here. If you say you got something, the Sheriff's Department is telling us we're not going to do anything. If there's an issue that you say that we don't have anything, you need to contact with them to say we don't have anything enforceable that we can do. we just need to get on the same page here, you know, because my neighbor across the street, and I don't want to do it, but he had the same issue when he called. So, you know, and I was going to say more, but I woke up this morning, I read my little Bible thing right here, and it softened me down because it says, Jesus said that you should love your suffering people rather than loving power and money. And I just feel like this guy in the porn, thinks he's got power, he's got money and everything else, got the upper hand, but you actually do. You have the power, and you can straighten it out. You can care for suffering people more than this. But anyway, that's all I want to say. I appreciate your time and effort. And it's going to end up being that I'm going to end up having to move. But I hate to do that because I like Morristown. I like my area and everything else. But I don't want to keep living like this. But thank you for your time. And thank you.
Thank you for comment. Anyone else?
Excuse me, Dan Pellegrin that's right, isn't it? Dan Pellegrin?
Ed Pellegrin, 7290 Sweetbriar Drive, Talbot, Tennessee. I'm sorry.
I thought I had your name.
Susan Deering, 5715 Amy Drive, Talbot. Hamblen County passed a Resolution 2328, which is a resolution of understanding concerning excessive noise in May of '23. However, by definition, a resolution is merely an opinion and not enforceable on any level. It requires an ordinance by the county government to create an enforceable action. The county commission feels that they've done all that they can do and have failed the citizens of Hamblen County thus far on this matter. First, the commission has stated in an email that they feel that the $50 fine is not enough of a deterrent when a business is making thousands of dollars at night. Why is the commission just focusing on the businesses playing loud music? How about the other situations in the county where the $50 fine might be enough of a deterrent? Granted, the Tennessee Constitution limits fines for municipal ordinance violations to $50 unless a jury assesses a fine. Doing something is better than doing nothing, so let's set the fine at $50. Secondly, the members of the commission have stated that the sheriff's department has the option of citing for disorderly conduct. I don't believe that that's happening. I've not seen it from my personal experience. Yes, we need a noise ordinance, but since it appears to be an arbitrary issue, as stated by a commissioner to enforce, let's start with a narrowly tailored ordinance. The bulk of the issues focus around music and not other noises. I am going to again ask that you start with a music ordinance. Let's institute this immediately. Let run for 90 days, see where we go from there. You can always repeal or redefine the verbiage if needed. This is the exact way that Nashville addressed the issue. I propose the following verbiage. It is unlawful in Hamblen County to operate or allow the operation of any sound amplification equipment so as to create sounds that are plainly audible for the boundary line to the nearest residentially occupied property at any time of the day. Most of the citizens will pay the citation, not even go to court. The fact that the commission feels it needs to be perfectly enforceable action with everyone on board with the violation from the deputy writing the citation to the county attorney prosecuting to the judge hearing the case is justified for doing nothing. I disagree. Many jurisdictions have noise or music ordinances on the books, and they seem to be able to write it and enforce it. I respectfully request that you prepare an ordinance and vote on it at the next regular meeting of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Andrea Rhodes, 5705 Amy Drive in Talbot. I live right next door to Susan. We're dealing with the same issues. We've spoken to the commission before about these. Did send an email recently with some video evidence. I hope you guys had a chance to open that up and take a look, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're dealing with. It's very excessive. It's not in the realm of normal activity. It's extremely disruptive. and the music being played is very explicit, and you know, the living really dire. So it is definitely an issue for us. Disrupts our quiet enjoyment of our property, causes a lot of mental stress for myself, my husband, my children. And what we're really looking for is the opportunity to work with the commission and the sheriff's department on a good solution to, you know, help us, you know, enjoy our property here in Hamblen County. We are of the opinion that a noise ordinance is something that is achievable. It's not, you know, it's not excessive. I think that it should be something that we should consider. We're willing to work with the sheriff's department, like I said, and the commission, but we need to have clarification on who has jurisdiction to enforce something that kind of protects us as tax-paying citizens of Hamblen County. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
8150 West Point Drive. I think we need a noise ordinance also. I put up with it for years. Motorcycles, cars racing up and down the road on Pinebrook, shotgun shooting, all kinds of stuff. The law would come. They just slap him on the wrist and tell him not to do it again. You knew who I'm talking about, Mr. Sheriff. You know who I'm talking about.
Address your comments to the chair, please.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
No, he's the chair.
Mr. Sheriff and
He's
whoever.
the chair.
The whole bunch. I'm talking to the whole bunch. The whole bunch of you. I begged and pleaded. And like the gentleman said, I guess I'll have to move. That's what I did. Thank God I had the money to do it. So, you know, as far as this noise ordinance, I don't believe you'll ever get it. You haven't got it so far. And people put up with a lot of stuff. Guns, motorcycles, hot rod cars, and all that stuff. And I don't care whether you want to hear me or not. I'm a taxpayer and I'm going to speak till Jesus comes. Then when he comes, it'll all be done. And that'll be a good thing. Be true honest. It'll rain on the just and the unjust.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Hello. My name's Heather Walker, address 5578 Bird Road. I was just wanting to put a name or a face with a name. I emailed everybody that I could email that I could reach out to about a situation that's in my residential neighborhood where a property's being used commercially and a noise is one of the main two issues. And I've been told, several of y'all have reached out to me, and I greatly appreciate that. I didn't prepare anything special. I'm sorry, this is not my usual, but I do appreciate y'all reaching out to me. I've got some mixed feedback on obviously how difficult this is to deal with, and I understand that. I think I just wanted to humanize the fact that I live in a residential neighborhood. I have 2 daughters. I was sitting in my living room on Sunday. I purchased this house because it's private. It's surrounded by farms. And all day Sunday from 12 till 6, I got to listen to live music. So if I wanted a concert, I could have went on my front porch. I know that this is a hard issue to police and handle. I understand when somebody's making large amounts of revenue from a property that a $50 fine does not really alter that. They can factor that into the money. I think on my side, I'm asking for us to look at other ways of pursuing these issues by looking at zoning ordinances and if they're being followed. If these properties are residential or agricultural and they're being used commercially, I think that's a side door to how do we enforce some of these noise issues. Because you get rid of the revenue, you get rid of the commercial use, you get rid of the noise. My personal issue with the property that I have is 1130 Cedar Creek Road. That property is not a personal residence. It is not a secondary residence. It has no residence at all. It is being used completely commercial for these events, and they go home at the end of the night. I do not. I'm already at home. So I just ask that you please review the emails that I sent. I impress on y'all to please think about how this impacts us as just citizens that want to just enjoy our homes, that didn't buy these properties knowing that this was going to be an issue, and to look at other ways that we can end this. Again, I appreciate the opportunity. Noise, again, is my biggest issue, and then we've got to look at traffic. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Very good, John.
If not, moving on to item 3, old business, we have none. Item 4A, resolution to amend the zoning map of Hamblen County, Tennessee by rezoning District 04, tax map 0130, Group A, parcel 024.00-8021, John Henry Road, Whitesburg, Tennessee, 37891, from C1 to A1. We have anybody, Tommy?
Hughes had a conflict, so I was going to go ahead and speak on this matter.
Thank you.
On this rezoning of 8021 John Henry Road from a C1 to an A1, Lori and the staff recommends going ahead and approving this. The property is surrounded by residential housing, and it is also joined by an A1 property. So Ms. Matthews just asked that the commission recommend this change in zoning.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any motion for this? Did you get a motion? We have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Cutchaw, we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Hahn. Any discussion? Mr. Howell?
Thank you, sir. So C1 is commercial, so going to, we certainly don't want this, it's surrounded by residential, you said, so, it's hard for me to think they're gonna do some farming there, but, they're not gonna,
I think it's more for,
I think that it's surrounded by residences, but it is zone C1.
Yes, that's correct. It's in Whitesburg, and most of those little small parcels right in that area have been zone C1 ages and ages ago, and just about every one of these small parcels actually have residents on them. I was at the meeting when the gentleman came by and asked to rezone the property, and basically there's a house on that property that has not been lived in for several years. And our zoning regulations state that if you are going to put a structure back on a piece of property to live in, it can't be a C1, it has to be a A1. So they are looking to renovate the property and put a house back on the property, tear the old one down and put one back on. They can't do that unless it's a A1.
okay, thank you. What is, give me the size, is, half an acre?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So are they putting, it says they're gonna put a mobile home back there.
Yeah, mobile homes.
Are they putting the double
Putting-
wide or
they're
something?
The green is agriculture, the red is C,
Commissioner
and
Long.
the yellow to the right.
they're putting a modular home.
A modular home.
Yes. Any other discussion? If not, let's vote the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like sign. The motion carries. Item 4B, surplus items for Hamblen County Clerk Peggy Henderson. Looks like she has some printers that we want to surplus. We have a motion. Motion by Ms. Ahern. We have a second. Mr. Walker? Any discussion? If none, let's vote the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the like sign. Motion carries. Item 4C, noise issue discussion. Do we have any more comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
let me say this. I think it's another one of those items that we've talked about. It's been brought up. It's a nuisance. You know, the lady back here made a good point. We need to start somewhere. And I can't imagine living, I mean, I live in a quiet neighborhood and don't have to worry a whole lot on my little hill there. Everybody's retired and in bed by 8 o'clock, so I don't have that problem. The occasional dog, but that's rare. But we're getting a lot of feedback from people on this. And I think it's time that we see what we can do. You know, what the limits are that we can do. And then I think we need to start really looking into this and try to make them move forward to alleviate some of these problems that our citizens are having. I don't want to put anybody out of business by no means, but at the same time, when you can't have quiet enjoyment at your own home at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or apparently at noon, it's pretty distressful. So, and it seems like this trend is growing. You know, people are having venues set up. I don't know about the latest one that the lady was talking about. I didn't get a real clear picture of where that was, but this seems to be something that's just come up, and they're using essentially a vacant lot for a concert venue. So this could become a problem, a growing problem. People can, you know, make a little money. They're going to reach out and grab it. So I think we've got to get ahead of this and put some, you know, restrictions in place. I don't know what we can do, but we need to look into that.
Chairman,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
go ahead, Tom.
You know, there's been all this talk about the calls to the sheriff's department and can't get anything done. Sheriff, what is the limitations that you all have right now that we need to address, or do you have an avenue to go forward with?
I'm gonna be in Nashville next week with probably 55 of the other county sheriffs, and I'm gonna speak there and see what they have for noise ordinance. I have personally called about 8 counties, Sullivan County, Washington County, some of the surrounding counties. They have 0 noise ordinance. But I'll be amongst probably another 55 or 60 next week, and I'll put it out to all of them, plus I'll put it out to the association for all 95 sheriffs. If you have something in place, please send it to me and let us review it, and I'll try to share that with Chairman, or Mr. Richardson, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
A lot of times this stuff is going into our central dispatch, and I don't know who told you what. Sometimes our dispatchers tell us that, and it don't get to our officers.
That was my point, the calls going to 911 instead of the sheriff's department.
Right. Our office, my office does not dispatch anything. Everything has to go through 911, and it generates an incident number, which gives the officer the right to be there. And that's the way we can track calls, premise history. I can go back on premise history and tell how many times this person's called 911, if it was a complaint call for a loud music or if it was a medical call. That's how we track it. Our office does no dispatching. 911 does dispatching for us, the police department, EMS, the fire departments, everybody.
Everything goes through.
Everything has to go through central dispatch.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairman?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to add to, I'd asked Judge Collins to be here tonight, and he couldn't be here. He's at a conference. And we'd love to get the sheriff, after he gets back from his and gets some more information, and the judge, the attorney, collectively, our ideas, and maybe we can, you know, figure this out. If there's an avenue that we're going to take, I think Commissioner Hone is right that we want to take that. That said, the Cedar Creek issue, by the way, I've talked with the Planning Commission today. That is my district. I know this venue, and it is not permitted. It's not a residence, just as this person said. I think this is could be a zoning violation, okay? It very well could be, but I'm letting them do their work before we know, okay? To my understanding, they've not charged admission or anything, so they've not asked for a permit. But that's an issue I think that may be resolved through zoning. That's what I think. But I'm way out in front of this and have not heard the response from our planners and planning commission. Just thought I'd address that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Al. Ms. Green.
Chairman, Richardson. We were talking before the meeting today. I think Commissioner Neesmith had gotten a hold of what the city ordinance is. And they have something in place, and maybe we need to add more teeth to it. But I have gotten several phone calls on the same issue. They're telling me that the sheriff's department is telling them that they can't do anything about it. They come out, there's nothing, their hands are tied. Now, it's not right. If we are tying the sheriff's hands, we need to untie them. He's got good people working for him. I worked with several of them on Rex. I can't say a harsh thing about them. But our citizens deserve some relief. And I know yous don't like hearing this analogy, but we've let this go long enough. People pay taxes in Hamblen County. They deserve to live in peace. I don't know about the rest of you, but if I had to put up with that around the clock, I'd probably cut a power pole down. But we need to be doing something, and we don't need to be riding it off.
Commissioner Neesmith.
Mr. Neesmith.
The sheriff's right. He can't do anything right now because he doesn't have it. He can write him a citation for $50. That's nothing. That's nothing at all. The way to stop this thing is to get a resolution, pass it becomes law, then the sheriff can do something. I had an event this weekend. I've told y'all this 100 times. I've had them for 5 years. Sometime 15 a year, 16. I finished my last one last Saturday night. I go out with my band. I got a neighbor that lives 40 foot from my barn. When he called and said, Wayne, the music's too loud, I'm over in the barn anyway. I don't leave. I go in and tell the band, I said, cut it down. They said, we can't cut it down anymore. I said, I can cut it down. They said, how you do that? I says, I'll pull your plug. The thing about it is, whoever is running these places have got to have control over it.
Amen.
You can't let an Hispanic or anybody else run your business. I had a guy come up the other night and said, we'll give you $400, play one more song. That was at 11 o'clock. I done shut down. And one of the guys in the band said, well, you need to go somewhere else and have your party. He said, go down to Red Bar and they'll let you play to 12, 1 o'clock down there.
I don't doubt it.
I said, you run the band, let me run my bar.
Amen.
And he walked off. But this is getting bigger. This thing is growing and growing. They had one down on McClister the other night down there, right next to Jason Darnell coming off Cherokee Drive. The sheriff's department's down there at 3 o'clock in the morning. But they're having these parties. They're gonna have them. And they're gonna do whatever they do that they can get by with it. But for 5 years, sheriff's never got a 911, never got a call on my building. Because I run it, and I run it, and I run it. 11 o'clock, we're done. This city thing, they just gave me from the city. That's the city, but the city can go out and get them, because they got their own judge, is what the sheriff told me. And I know they do.
The city has city ordinance and they have city court.
Yeah.
The county does not have county court, the county has state court. We have to go by state law, not city ordinance.
Yeah. But
hopefully Judge Collins
you know,
will be here.
it can be, it's growing, fellas, I'll tell you, it's growing. It's growing in their backyards, in housing developments. They're getting little bands in there, they're everywhere. They're and they're getting by with it.
Amen.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes,
Ms. Howe.
Yes, sir, thank you. What Commissioner Neesmith was saying is the onus is on the owner. He is the owner, and it is distressing to me to have our citizens call law enforcement and not be able to get back to peace and quiet, as he has taken the onus. And whatever we do, whatever we can come up with that is enforceable, I hope it is maybe through a permit. Maybe we do it on the front end. You know, why are you building this barn, or what are you going to do here with this property? And put the onus on them. And $50 might be enough, but what if in that phrase, in that sentence, we say, oh, by the way, when you get 3 of these, you have to come back and get another permit? I don't know what it's gonna take, but, we need to, I like the fact that the owner is in charge of it, and the onus needs to be there. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Nothing else, we'll take all these, issues, gather up the sheriff's office, the judge, get zoning involved, and get some opinions and legal involved and see where we can go. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I got something else. I was telling the sheriff, they're trying to get out in the country now and have these things. Up at Baileyton, they come up there, and this guy's off the highway, still in Greene County, and he's got music that plays at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. The sheriff's department come out there and shut him down. At 11:30, he quit. Everybody goes home. So, but this thing with the city ordinance, that's a city ordinance. That's been on the books for years, that's before the 90s. 11 o'clock, you can't have it, loud noise.
Ms. Howe,
But
one other
it's
thing.
growing, it's growing.
Thank you. Ms. Howe, last thing.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, thank you. I do remember the folks from Talbot did say, well, if you shut it down at 11 and the noise begins at 8 until 3 in the afternoon, now we don't have anything for them. So we've got to address noise at any time that is
Right.
excessive. Thank you.
Amen.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
You gotta have a noise number. Noise can't be over so loud.
Right.
On your decimal meter. That's the same thing that Dandridge has got for the city of Dandridge. You might wanna look into that, Mike.
Thank you, Chairman Richardson. We'll now move to our Calendar and Rules Committee. Chairman Doty, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Calendar and Rules Committee meeting to order. Is there anyone wishing to address this committee? You may do so now. Seeing none, we'll move forward. Old business, we have none. New business, we have the review of the regular calendar items. And please remember that we will be adding item 11D to our Finance Committee, which is the CDBG fire truck grant resolution. And do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Ahern. Any discussion about these items? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 4B is review of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Horner. Thank you, sir. Any discussion on these? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Doty. We've completed our committee work tonight. We've got more to come. Thank everyone for their work tonight. Are all minds clear?
Crystal.
We're adjourned.
Hey, Bobby, can you believe I turned down $500 twice last year for 2 songs?